Welcome, heroes. My name is Jayaraj. I'm an author and a creative life coach, and this is Mythic Mindfulness, where we are going to explore some of the great myths of our time and then see how to apply the wisdom from these myths into our own personal lives. We start this series with the origin tale of one of the greatest stories of all time, the Mahabharata. Once upon a time, there was an ancient sage named Vyasa. Vyasa lived for thousands of years, and in this time, he saw some of the most wondrous things. He saw battles with gods, he saw people visiting other worlds, and he saw some of the greatest clashes between good and evil. Vyasa wanted to immortalize his story, and so he summoned the god Brahma to ask him what he should do. That he had this great story to tell, but he needed someone to scribe it, to write it down. Brahma recommended that he speaks to the elephant-headed god Ganesha. When Ganesha heard Vyasa's plea, he agreed that he would write every word that Vyasa said, but on the condition that once Vyasa begins telling his tale, that he not stop until he is done, that he reads and completes the entire epic in one sitting. Vyasa, perhaps concerned about his storytelling stamina, agrees to the terms but makes his own counter-proposal. He asks for the god Ganesha to understand everything that he is writing, and that he is not just blindly scribing the story. Ganesha agrees. With Vyasa telling the story and Ganesha writing it down, and at one point in the story with Ganesha writing so furiously that his pen breaks and he needs to break off his own tusk to use that as a pen, the two create what is, in my opinion, perhaps the greatest epic of all time, the Mahabharata. What I take from this story is the importance of commitment, especially when embarking on such a large project. Now, perhaps the idea of starting your project and only getting up when it's completed is not the most realistic thing. But rather, for us mere mortals, having time devoted to your story, having time dedicated every week, and more realistically every day to keep in the flow of it. The other aspect of the story, especially with Vyasa asking for Ganesha to understand it as it goes, is to still take your time, to still enjoy the process, and to let things kind of develop as they can in that moment without putting too much thought into the future of the project, into the ending, to enjoy the process of whatever project that you are creating. And the other part of the story that I think is worth mentioning is just the power of a good story. Something that I hope that we'll see throughout this series. For more on the Mahabharata, you can check out the adult podcast I co-host called Not Your Mother's Mahabharata. You can find that on my website, sbjayaraj.com, where you can also discover my other creative projects. If you enjoyed this episode and like metaphors and myths as much as I do, please like, share, and subscribe. Have an imaginative day.